let's get right into this Wavy American flag build. The first thing I had to do was select my wood. And for this project, I chose to use Douglas fir 2x4s. But I could have chosen pine just the same. Literally any construction lumber or any type of lumber would work for this. This is just what I had in the shop. This build uses 5 2x4s, but if you keep watching, you should notice 3 potential projects in these 5 2x4s by the end of the video. Here I'm using my miter saw to cut the 2x4s to length, and the cut length is 31.5 inches. But you can do this with a circular saw or a jigsaw or any type of saw you have in the shop. Once all 13 of my 2x4s were cut to length, I brought them over to my table saw where I'm taking them down to their final thickness of 1.25 inches. I took equal parts off of both sides of the 2x4, raising my blade half the vertical height and getting it done in 2 passes on each side. If you have a planer, this would absolutely make short work of this task. I just happen to be too lazy to unbox my planer. But it does go to show you that there are many ways to get the same end result. Man, it's satisfying to see that thin layer of wood removed and that smooth grain showing itself. And here's the aftermath. I really do need to invest in some proper dust collection. I think this is just ridiculous. Next, I ripped the height of the 2x4s down to their final height of 2.5 inches. I think those 1-inch strips would be perfect for a flat flag. What do you think? Here I'm doing my best Vanna White impersonation, showing you the template I use for the waves. This template is a cheat code, and I grabbed the free plans for it from Drew over at Fisher Shop. And rather than show you how to make it here, I'll throw a link to his video down in the description below. It essentially gives you the ability to draw a progressive curve on the 13 pieces of wood. I'm marking the wood with a number and an A and a B to keep things organized. Time to break out the jigsaw. And this obviously is the more labor-intensive way to cut out the waves, but I don't own a bandsaw and the end result is identical. Boom. After cutting them out, you're left with this gnarly work of art. Or 2. At this point, we're ready to assemble our 13 stripes, and I did this using Typemon 2, which is water resistant but not waterproof. The big thing here is to choose a glue based on where it will be, whether that's inside or outside. In my case, I'm going to have mine inside. I let it dry overnight before introducing it to the star of the show, the Turboplane by Arbortech. Now, I'm not sponsored by Arbortech, but I did a lot of research on the best cutting wheels to get the job done, and this one had the most bang for your buck by far. There is a slight learning curve, as with anything you do, but it only took about a half hour to get the shapes I was really happy with. Next up was everyone's favorite, sanding. And I used a flat disc on my angle grinder, starting at 80 grit, then 120, and finally 220. Man, it's messy. I finish it up with some good old hand sanding using 220 grit, getting into all the contours. This is probably the dustiest project I've ever done. My framing square to mark off the union in just the right places here. Next I hit it with the torch just for a light burn. You don't want to go too dark here and have anything you're going to have to brush off. You'd be surprised of how they pop. Painter's tape and some construction paper worked great here to mask off the union. And I decided to go with spray paint here as opposed to stain because I wanted a pronounced deep navy blue to help the stars pop. I switched to frog tape for the red stripes to try and cut down on the stain bleed. I read that using the blotting technique may help keep the stain from working its way into the tape. So I figured, hey, let's give it a shot. I ended up letting it dry for a few hours before removing the tape, and then overnight before coming back to it. Unfortunately, we couldn't stop all of the bleeding. A couple drops snuck through. But I managed to use my X-Acto knife to scrape the wood fibers off the top layer, and it was as if the stain was never there. As for the scraped wood fibers, the top coat should fill those in just fine. Looks like we got them. So on to the union. I picked up a pack of star templates in various sizes from Amazon and I traced them out with a pencil. I used my Dremel with the flex shaft attachment to first outline the stars before taking out the centers. I'll link to the carving kit I purchased down below. The next time I do this, I will use a blower attachment for the Dremel because the sawdust just gets in the way. Hence the dry brush. This was honestly probably the most time-consuming part of the project by far. Alright, now we're starting to look like a flag, but we're not done yet. I ended up hitting it with 5 coats of glossy polyurethane, and then I threw my logo on the back. And just like that, we can call this project a wrap. I really enjoyed this project, and I hope you all did too. I think the gloss finish really adds to the illusion of the flag waving in the wind. If you enjoyed this video, I'd love to have you back. Smash the like and hit that subscribe button so you can be alerted to all the new content I'll have coming your way. Until the next time, I'm Drew. Get out of your comfort zone and try something new.